I wrote on what it means to choose joy, how to kind of actively pursue the good in normal everyday life, and how that's related to charity and joy. Just really consider the human experience and heroic virtue that's sort of present in the day-to-day experience of like just continuing to learn how to love people, and the joy that comes from this like active self-gift. And I think is something that I'll genuinely continue to think about and pray about for the rest of my life.
Welcome to this episode of Take a Leap. Join us as we talk to young people who are using their faith to change the world. I'm Ocean Marshall.
And I'm Nick Levitt, filling in for Neftali Rodriguez. Today, we're asking Aeja Diego and Diego Charles, seniors from Wyoming Catholic College.
Wyoming Catholic is a private college that emphasizes outdoor experiences, and every student takes a semester of horsemanship.
Yeah, both Aeja and Diego were leaders this past year for the freshman outdoor orientation, where new students get dropped off into the wilderness to backpack for 21 days.
And the school requires students to check in their cell phones each semester. In fact, for our Man on the Street, we asked what's the longest you've gone without using your phone.
Man on the Street is where we canvass campus, asking students a question to get an insight into what people think and what they're doing.
Be sure to check out all of our content on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
What's the longest you've gone without your phone?
I think like a day.
2 weeks, I think.
Why'd you go without your phone for 2 weeks? That's a long time.
I know. Camping.
Probably like 3 days camping.
That's good. Yeah. That's
2.5 weeks.
good. Okay, it's pretty good.
Like 3 hours.
Probably on my HXP, we went without our phones for like 2.5 weeks.
So, how would you answer that question, Ocean?
I went to Brazil and didn't have my phone for 3.5 weeks, so that's probably the longest I've gone without my phone. What about you?
Let's see. I mean, I was born without a cell phone in my hand, so I'd probably say about 14 years. But there was one time where I was on a plane and I didn't have my phone, so about 36 hours.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Let's get into our interview with Aeja and Diego. Aeja is originally from Michigan and completed her thesis entitled, Rejoice in the Lord, All You Righteous, Choosing Joy as a Fundamental Response to Reality. Outside of school, she works as a wilderness first responder and with FEM, a nonprofit invested in women's health and education. She hopes to become a teacher.
Diego is originally from San Antonio and has worked for Core Expeditions as an instructor. After graduating, he wants to go into business and entrepreneurship. This summer, he'll spend training horses.
We chose to go to a private university, and you guys are also at a private university, so we'd love to hear why you guys decided to do that.
I was really struck by the education, the small, tight-knit quality of the community, and how intentional our professors were. They really care about the quality of the education and the mission that they're doing to sort of form full people and to do something that's very countercultural to modern day.
So, Diego, how about you? So, what was your reason for choosing the university, to go into a private university?
They had like a strong set of values that they really stuck by, and they really believed in it. It kind of overlapped with my own. I found that everyone that went here was very serious about what they were doing. So I really, really loved that I could be like part of a community that's doing that. I think you're not just a number, right? We particularly have a very small college that adds to it, but it's really cool having that like set of values that is just going to be consistent throughout 3 or 4 years here, however long.
What about those values kind of inspired you a little bit? Can you talk about that a little bit more?
We're in a small liberal arts college that's also Catholic. With the liberal arts, it's kind of pointing the whole person. We say mind, body, and spirit. We do that through a few aspects of our education. One is our outdoor program in Horsemanship, and then our classes are all seminar based, which is just like it's amazing. You really learn to discuss and converse, be able to listen to what your professor's saying and what have for you.
You spoke a little bit about the outdoor leadership program, so can you tell us like about what that is, what you do, and tell us how like it connects to the college's Catholic identity?
My teacher said the mission is to form the body and mind and spirit. Freshman orientation is, we come in at the end of August, privileged, you kind of rush through all these lessons and you pack a backpack that weighs about 40 pounds. And the girls go into the Wind River Range and the guys have 50 tons in Wyoming. And you get out of the van and they're like, okay, see you in 2 days. And you have your group of 8 to 10 students, and both of us were fortunate enough to get to lead the 21-day trip this last summer. The most beautiful thing, I guess, about starting off that way is you actually have to encounter real people. And you have to just accept people to who they are as they are. And that becomes a really necessary thing really fast. And you're like, I don't know you, but we have to cook dinner together now. And I need to learn, how to work with you because we have to set up tents every day. And then as you get through your time here, there's multiple opportunities to pursue the leadership program specifically So at the end of your freshman year, you can go on a leader week, which is a week-long intensive trip that gives you the opportunity to become an outdoor leader and to lead trips for the school. Backpacking, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, canoeing, canyoneering. And I think that really speaks to both aspects of our motto, kind of being steeped in wonder and formed in wisdom. You kind of get, as a freshman right off the bat, this ability to sort of encounter God's creation in a very embodied, visceral way. But I really think that one of the biggest things that we do talk about in the outdoor leadership program is identity, and who you are in relationship to not only just yourself, but those around you. And I think when you have this time in the backcountry where you're free of distractions and free of coping mechanisms and all of those things that kind of comfort you, you really have time to pray, to talk to God, and to really sort of enter into his space.
Like, there's something required in the coursework. You have to all take horsemanship classes, is that right? Yeah, so Diego, can you kind of explain that and what that is? I was floored when I heard that.
It's I think you just you fall in love with it. I think very similar to the outdoor program, it teaches you leadership, but also I think you end up learning a lot more about yourself when you're doing the horse, because I tend to be maybe a little more animated of a person, right? And you go charging up to a horse, then he's gonna say, oh, what's happening there? They're prey animals, right? So they react a lot to what you're doing. So you have to have a sort of self-mastery. Every student comes out saying, wow, I didn't think I was gonna learn so much about myself, about how I can lead others, about how I treat others, and even just how it's so connected to the classical tradition as well. Not only does pretty much every student love it, but it's also just extremely fruitful. Try and focus on not just being able to ride a horse, but actually being able to interact with them and being able to communicate in a way that's actually meaningful for both people, the horse and the person. We both love this program so much.
So when you were doing the horse program, Diego, did you have your own specific horse that you had to take care of? What was his name?
No, this is great. My horse was Tom. He's a huge Mustang. It's a bay horse, so it's kind of the color of him. And it's really cool because sometimes they try and pair up, they call them personalities with personalities, right? So I got assigned this horse Tom, who's great, and he's kind of a little puppy dog. He loves to follow you around, which some horses don't. Kind of will nudge you every once in a while, but then he's also extremely well trained. So one cool thing has been working through his difficulties. So he's a very skittish horse. So a lot of times a pebble will hit the metal bleachers, and he'll spook, right? And you're on top of him. That's super scary, right? You have to have a lot of trust in your horse and be very calm yourself, but also you have to establish that relationship with them that is going to make them trust you as their leader, right? And then that's kind of where the leadership aspect of the program comes in. We've gotten to form a little bit of a friendship, I would say. I work at the horse farm as well, so you get to do all sorts of stuff. You feed the horses twice a day, and you have to take care of their hoofs and even tune them up a little bit if it kind of get to that level. So yeah, you form a pretty cool relationship that maybe you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool that you said that you learn new stuff about yourself too, doing that. That's such a cool experience. Another thing that we heard is that you guys, they take your cell phones during the semester, which is crazy. I actually went on a humanitarian trip over the summer, and they took my phone for 3 weeks, so I didn't have a phone. And it's just crazy what you learn about yourself and how connected you feel to other people around you and also God. So I'd love to hear your guys' take on that and how it is for a whole semester, and especially with school and also faith. So
I think one of the first things that really struck me about the community at Wyoming Catholic was the first time I came on campus when I was just visiting. Nobody was on the phone, and in between classes or on your way to meals or while you're waiting to go into a professor's office, people are reading books or talking and having conversations. And I walked into the classroom building and had this really genuine conversation, and I was like, wow, where else do you go in modern America, or really kind of anywhere in the world, where people are just genuinely aware of other people? So I think that was a huge thing that led me to come here. It definitely has its disadvantages. Sometimes you're okay, I need to bake, or whatever. I need that confirmation code. But I think it's been a huge gift, and one of my absolutely favorite parts about the education here is like you're just free to really encounter people and not be distracted. It really is about creating this space in the community. And I think one of the things that was really big for me was like, I really have to be accountable when I say I'm going to be somewhere. I can't send a text and be like, sorry, something came up. I'm busy.
Diego, so what was your experience like when you had to like first check in your phone?
Well, it's definitely like a little bit of a shocker. I won't lie at all. I think a common misconception about the school is that they don't like technology, which is like very much not true. I think more of what it is like a technology fast. You kind of learn to appreciate a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't have been so aware of if you had your phone. Especially like the rigorous academics that we have here as well. At least for me, I wouldn't have been able to take full advantage of that because maybe I would have been like a little distracted by my phone. You become a lot more creative in what you're doing, and I think it's like the students end up loving it. That's also a really big reason why they come. So.
Oh, that's so cool. I know that if I didn't scroll, I'd probably do a lot better in school.
Same.
So that's probably definitely
Exactly.
a benefit for school-wise.
No, it's so true. Like I said, it's like there's so many good things about technology, but it's like I've noticed that on breaks, whenever I get my phone back, I'm like, man, I'm just spending a ton of time scrolling. This is kind of bad.
This is Take a Leap from BYU Radio, and we're talking to Aeja Diego and Diego Charles from Wyoming Catholic College about leadership in Latin. I'm Ocean Marshall, and we'll be right back.
Obviously, you guys are going to end up graduating. You're going to have to kind of enter back into the real world. So what are you guys going to kind of keep from that technology isolation in your guys' lives?
I guess we both said, and she's like being intentional with people when you're in a situation where you don't have to be distracted by your phone. Like one of the things that I've practically tried to do when I go home is like leave my phone plugged in downstairs when I go to bed. I share a room with my sister and at home. And we have great conversations, or we actually get good sleep. We don't have like lights just kind of like distracting our brain right before we go to bed. Or like if I go hang out with a friend or something, I usually just try to like leave my phone in my purse or in my backpack or whatever. Little practical things like that I feel like have been really helpful. Or like setting a timer if I'm like, I do just kind of want to like look on social media, or there's huge research resources and buy things and all of that, but setting myself a timer and like, okay, I'm going to look on Amazon for a half hour, and then, if I find it great, and if not, that's okay, and then you go with something else. And it's really interesting because sometimes when you're like standing in the grocery line, you could be on your phone, or you could talk to the nice old lady in front of you, and sometimes that becomes really neat.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say, Diego?
Living in the moment, that's kind of something we talk about a lot. But yeah, of course, like I'm going to have a phone when I graduate, like it's very difficult to be in the world without it. But I'm going to intentionally try and do stuff that maybe seem like a little boring, or don't seem as exciting as like scrolling. But definitely like learning to be present in the moment and present to those who are around you. That's been kind of like the biggest eye opener for me coming here.
Yeah, I love that. So we also actually go to a religious university, and I know that like here, like everything is very like God-centered. So I'm wondering, like for you guys, what's it like there? Like, and how have you grown closer to God while going to a Catholic college?
Do you guys have like theology classes? Could you like give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, so we have like religion classes, and it's like we pray in every class, and all the teachers like say their testimony and like talk about God a lot.
I'm a Chinese major, and every single like in Chinese classes, the first 10 minutes are just everybody sharing spiritual experiences in Chinese. Like it's so interesting. Like I would have never thought that when I came to BYU.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have theology classes that we study, and it's getting to know more about your faith in a very deep way. But then also having it applied, like you said, having it apply to every other classroom, right? That you have. I imagine all your professors are very very excited about their faith, right? And it's the same way with ours. So they tend to like draw their faith into different subjects or related with things. And I think you're being immersed in a culture that has the identity of your religion, right? So we study Latin, but we do spoken Latin, which is like it's kind of insane. And like I'm not particularly great at Latin myself, but it's great because you maybe memorize some prayers in Latin, and then you talk about like your faith in Latin. I think it's amazing. I think the culture of the school to be something that you can be very confident about your faith and learn more about it in a culture that's truly amazing. And then especially being able to go out into the world, having that, I feel like kind of just brings like a beacon of light to what you're doing.
Okay, so you guys are about to graduate and you're wanting to go into teaching and business, right? Okay, perfect. Can you tell us how you see like your unique college experience playing into your careers in the future?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that the education has given me is a really solid adaptability, the skill to be able to look at things from a lot of different angles. Because our curriculum is so integrated, not only like the rigorous academic curriculum is integrated, but also the integration of the outdoor program and the horsemanship program and choir and like all the other opportunities that we have has really given me the ability to be adaptable and to learn things from different angles. And I think that's really going to be helpful in teaching. A lot of times, the way that you address a topic for one person is going to be completely different for another. And using the tools that we have in this curriculum to do that, like you could say, okay, I need to explain a theological concept to you, but maybe you're not understanding it in theology, but maybe I can draw on humanities and tell you a story that kind of, explains that. Or maybe, we're talking about an issue that is in science, and I can engage you in a science or mathematical way.
A lot of people, when they talk about liberal arts colleges as a whole, they say your education seems kind of useless. And what it actually is that it's forming you as a person and not necessarily forcing you for a good job. But I think it actually does apply a lot. I've just realized this, like interacting with people, and especially like as we've both been doing interviews for prospective jobs, I think you just find that, like Aeja said, you can kind of think on your feet a lot more, but also it kind of brings both of the leadership track is kind of what we call it, like the outdoor program and the horsemanship, that allows you to like be calm and react in a very intentional way when you're under pressure, and kind of like when you're leading people, right? Like when we're in the backcountry and you have like a ton of basically high schoolers with you, you have to like kind of wrangle them, and also like face dangers together and be able to like react in a way that's not out of impulse, but that you're actually thinking about. So, and I think that's like super important for any job. So I hope to go into business, and I think a lot of it is just like it's interpersonal skills. You have to know how to be kind of just like an awesome person in general, but also like be attentive to them. So I'm super thankful for the type of education.
Okay, so if you guys had to give one secret thing that is about your college that has really benefited your life and made either your connection to God deeper or helped you guys grow spiritually or physically or mentally, what is it outside of the things that we've already talked about?
Not very nice. It's like asking what your favorite song is.
It is difficult to choose like a favorite part, but I love the outdoors and I just like want to be there. But actually like learning to lead it's just been amazing. Yeah, you're kind of like put in the scenario to like step up, Just with horsemanship, there's a quote by a saint, "I'll pray without ceasing." And it's kind of like in what you're doing, you are like trying to do it for the glory of God. You're being very intentional with what you're doing, and it kind of it's all very connected. Learning to dig deeper into the things that you're doing and like be very, very involved with them, I guess.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that was really, really big for me was actually writing my thesis. End of junior year, you write a proposal and you kind of like pursue an advisor if one of your professors advises you, and you work through the summer and through the first semester writing a thesis that's 20 to 40 pages long. And then second semester, you give a 30-minute oration or presentation defense of your thesis, and then you answer questions for 30 minutes. That was a really, really beautiful experience for me. I wrote on what it means to choose joy, essentially. So I was looking at the Psalms. I was looking at kind of the psychology and philosophy of our actions, how we work, like what agency we actually have over them, how to kind of actively pursue the good in normal everyday life, and how that's related to charity and joy. That was just a really, really beautiful experience to draw together the fruits of our education, like academically, to really say like, okay, I've learned these skills over this 4 years, and now I can make this project as my own. But also just really like consider the human experience, and not on like a grandiose scale of like, I'm not on like a giant ship of like, I am not fighting in a war, but heroic virtue that's sort of present in the day-to-day experience of like just continuing to learn how to love people and the joy that comes from this like active self-gift. And I think is something that I'll genuinely continue to think about and pray about for the rest of my life. And I think that's something that, was required of us to graduate, but a real gift, a really cool journey to kind of like draw together the difference of the academic life here.
That's our show. Take a Leap is produced by Heidi Huff with additional production by me, Nick Levitt, and regularly hosted by Ocean Marshall and Neftali Rodriguez. Take a Leap is a production of BYU Radio.